After beating the Houston Rockets last night, the Warriors are looking to do it again tonight versus the New Orleans Pelicans. If you want to help the Warriors out, you're going to have to like this video because every like equals a Warriors dub. So you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button. The Warriors did have Chris Paul coming off the bench last night versus the Houston Rockets. So now it poses a question, is this Steve Kerr's plan moving forward? Well, if it is, then I'm going to break down, could he possibly win the Sixth Man of the Year award? An award no one thought Chris Paul was ever even going to be eligible for, let alone possibly win it. We're going to talk about that on today's show, and plus we're going to give you a preview of the New Orleans Pelicans versus the Golden State Warriors. And the Pelicans have been shaky in the past, but I definitely wouldn't undermine them going into tonight's game. They're currently 2-0 to start the season, and Zion Williamson seems to be dominating. So we're going to break that down and give you all the keys to victories later on the show. But first, I want to talk about the starting five that happened last night and will more than likely be tonight's starting five against the New Orleans Pelicans. You've got Andrew Wiggins, Steph Curry, Kevon Looney, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green. Now, don't be scared by this 4 points per game. He only played under 20 minutes last night. He is on a minutes restriction. But I think the biggest thing here is the fact that last night, Chris Paul came off the bench the first time in his career. He's been in the league for 19 seasons, which just goes to show that if he is going to be coming off the bench, that is a crazy depth player to have at the guard, considering he started the entire time he's been in the NBA. I'm not opposed to it, but it's definitely an interesting strategy because, Steve Kerr has been avoiding this question all offseason of who's going to be in your starting five. Well, we saw Chris Paul start, obviously, because Draymond Green is out. But now that Draymond Green is back on restricted minutes, it looks like Chris Paul could be coming off the bench because you're not going to sit Steph Curry. You're not going to sit Draymond Green or Klay Thompson. And the other two, well, that leaves Andrew Wiggins and Kevon Looney, which Chris Paul is not going to start over them. So this could be the plan moving forward. But I want to ask you guys, do you think Chris Paul could possibly be a bench player for the Warriors? Moving forward, I still think it's just nuts to even say, but it could be a good game plan. Type Y for yes, type N for no if you think Chris Paul should be the sixth man coming off the bench, or if you should see him in the starting rotation. Type Y for yes, type N for no. And of course, last night, the media got a hold of Steve Kerr and wanted to know his opinions about this situation. So Steve Kerr said he's so good making everybody else better. Whether he's in the starters or with the bench, he's going to impact the game. Like I said, this is new for everybody, including Chris Paul. So his response to this was, did I like it? Who likes new things? It ain't about liking it or not. It's new. I don't hate it. It ain't a matter of liking it. I like the fact that we won. That was the most important thing. So I think this quote from Chris Paul really solidifies Steve Kerr's quote in the sense that, look, he just wants to win. Does Chris Paul like coming off the bench? It probably hurts his ego just a little bit. It would hurt yours too if you started for 19 years. But I think he's understanding that when he came to the Warriors, he was going to have a different role. He's not going to be the leading scorer. He's not going to be the leading ball handler. Steph Curry's had that for many, many years. So, could he be the sixth man of the year? Well, if you look at his stats so far, almost 11 points per game. That's not bad. Almost 5 rebounds per game, which is for a guard, which is great. 9.3 assists per game. I love that stat. If he keeps that up, that stat is going to stand out when awards come around. And then about two steals a game. Not bad at all, once again, for the guard. And this is a crazy analogy to even bring up, talking about Chris Paul being the sixth man of the year. And it may be very, very early for that. But ultimately, I think if Paul comes off the bench moving forward, he definitely can keep these stats up and become the sixth man of the year, just in the sense that he's always been a starter. So he knows how to put up stats that a starter should have. But now he could be the first person to come off the bench right around that first TV timeout. So it could definitely trend that way. Do you think Chris Paul could be the sixth man of the year if he keeps playing the way he's playing and really adheres to the role of coming off the bench? I think he could. Type sixth man of the year, 6MOY, in the comments if you think this could be a thing. Want to know what else is a thing? Prize Picks. It is our sponsor here on Warriors Today. It's my favorite daily fantasy sports app. If you're asking, Allie, how do you play? It's super easy. All you do is pick between 2 to 6 players, projected stats, and just click more or less. That's literally all you have to do. You can do this for the NBA, NFL, MLB. Literally, they have so many sports, it's not even funny. These are my picks for tonight's games. Of course, I have Emo Jimmy Butler here scoring more than 16.5 points. That's because Prize Picks is giving you a discount on his total points. So you know I had to go the more. Life's too short. Klay Thompson, I do have him scoring more than 18.5 points. If they're going to beat the Pelicans, he's got to have more than 18.5. And I took Zion to have less than 7 rebounds. I think Draymond can lock him up. These are my picks for tonight. I want to see yours. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100, and you can watch yourself win some real money in real time. Speaking of Zion Williamson and the Pelicans, this is tonight's game starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and unfortunately, the Warriors are not the favorites. The Pelicans are -4.5. That's a huge spread going up against the Pelicans, and I told you guys, do not rule them out just yet. Well, if you're wondering about who's playing tonight, well, Anthony Slater did tweet this out yesterday. Because they did play the Rockets last night, Steve Kerr did address this issue yesterday ahead of today's game, saying that they're going to be playing the veterans back-to-back games, talking about Curry, Thompson, and Draymond. They do expect all the veterans, the trio, to play tonight against the Pelicans as well. So we're going to talk about some injuries as well. Jose Alvarado, he's out. He's got an ankle injury. Naji Marshall, he's out. And Trey Murphy are also out with knee injuries. And this is what I like to see. Warriors, they're just questionable right now. Kuminga was questionable last night and came in and played 20 minutes. Klay Thompson's also questionable, but that's just soreness, so it's nothing to really think about. Draymond Green has been listed as probable, but Kerr already addressed it. He's going to be on a minutes restriction moving forward until he's fully healthy. But overall, 3 players out, and these players should play. That's pretty good heading into tonight's game. So I put together a list of keys to victory. I went ahead and put them all right here. I'm just going to address the 3 and then break them down individually. But first, you got to let Klay cook. Klay has had some quiet points to help the Warriors win yesterday and almost beat the Phoenix Suns. Draymond versus Zion, we are going to break this matchup down because it's pretty scary, the points Zion has put up against Draymond. And we're going to talk about outscoring Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, why that's important. But first, Klay Thompson. His points through 3 games. I told you they've been quiet. 17.3 points per game. It doesn't seem like he's averaging that much, but he really has been shooting lights out. He's been rebounding 4.7 rebounds per game. He's shooting almost 50% from the field, which is fine. His 3-point percentage isn't where we all like it to be for Klay Thompson, but overall, I like it. I'll take it, but I want to see better. I want you guys to know, last night versus the Houston Rockets, Klay Thompson passed Jamal Crawford for the 10th spot in the all-time three-pointers made list for the NBA. He's still getting up there. Of course, Steph Curry does hold that record in the NBA, but it's nice to see a fellow Splash brother make that list. And I also pointed out that Green is going to be on restricted minutes tonight as he is recovering from that ankle injury. But overall, he should be playing tonight. He played 19 minutes last night, so I don't know if that's his cap or if he will play more. He may have to play more, though, because you're going up against Zion Williamson, who unfortunately, when he has played against Draymond, he's played him twice in his career. He has had a double-double, almost a 30-piece, averaging 10 rebounds per game, 4 assists per game, but Draymond has forced 5 turnovers per game for Zion. So Draymond can lock him up, and Zion is a freak of nature. We all know this. He's big, he's scary, he's a good ball player. But a double-double, that's got to be contained. And you can't only contain Zion, you have to contain Brandon Ingram as well, because the 2 players have combined for 92 points in just 2 games. So you're either going to have to lock them down, or Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are going to have to outscore them. That's the only way to beat the Pelicans. CJ McCollum, yes, he's also a sharpshooter. You can let him go a little bit. If you have Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson putting up the points they've put up in the past 2 games, it's going to be tough for the Warriors to come out with a win. They can definitely do it, though, but it will be a challenge. Once again, these are my keys to victory tonight against the Pelicans. Let Klay do his thing. Draymond's got to be on top of Zion, and you got to outscore Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. With that being said, I do think the Warriors can win this. I'm going to pick them to win tonight's game 102-98. It's going to be a high-scoring game, I feel like. Defense is definitely going to matter here, but I think the Warriors can pull this one out. What are you guys thinking? I want you to predict the score for the Warriors-Pelicans game down in the comments below. It can be anything, and I'll see if you get any of them right. And while you're at it and you're scrolling on your way down to the comment section, just hit that thumbs up button for me. Like this video, because the more likes this video has, the more dubs the Warriors are going to get.